I started doing atlases. I did one, and then it seemed like a sort of good idea, and then it turned into a trilogy, which was just completed last month with the New York volume. I felt like I always have been, and I always will be a writer, but there were things I wanted to say about places that it felt like you could say in a different way with maps. They have a kind of powerful authority and an immediacy, and they affect us in a different way. I'm one of those kids who love maps. I love books like The Lord of the Rings with maps in them. And I found out when I published my first atlas that a lot of people really love maps. Not staring at your phone in frustration trying to figure out how to get from here to there. That's not a beautiful map. That's not a masterpiece. It might be a useful technology, but it's not a great aesthetic experience. And I think part of what we love is that when you see a film, a painting, read a story, listen to music, it's wonderful. But there's a way you can write your own life into a map that's really different. You look at it and you can, like, I've been there, I could go there. You map your own life onto it. It offers a different kind of invitation or something. And I think also there's a kind of Find Waldo puzzle solving to a lot of them, a sense that maybe with this I can finally figure out where I really am in life. So, and when I started these are maps, these are atlases of cities, and cities for me are first of all places of coexistence, of complexity, of diversity, of inclusion, of experiment. There's often a sense in our culture that the city is corrupt and the country represents virtue, and it really goes throughout the English-speaking world. French literature is different, but it's very strong in English literature, this kind of playing the city against the country. But I think that a lot of what is truly virtuous about our country is in the city now. It's inclusive. It can deal with complexity. It can embrace, everybody who shows up. It can find a way to, and like, it's a messy process. It doesn't go smoothly, but it is extraordinary. But there's always a question, I think, for all of us: do we really know who and where we are? And to know where we are is in part to know who we are. And I started producing these atlases as people began to rely more and more on their cell phones. And as my publicist at Harper's Magazine said recently, your phone can tell you where to go, but a map can tell you where you are. And to know where you are, I think, means knowing who is here before you, knowing what the stories are, knowing where the river flows, which I straightened out with the help of some guests today, knowing, kind of how it ties into the local and state and global economy, knowing how the different people here got here, perhaps the migration stories, and knowing what the place names mean, etc. There's always more to a place than we can see. The process is also just an imaginative one of discovering where you are and what it has to give you and how it shapes you and how who you are changes as you move from place to place. To be Chinese in China is different than to be Chinese in Grand Rapids, which is different than being Chinese in Chinatown, San Francisco. That our identities are formed by places, and so it behooves us to understand them, or we remain invisible to ourselves as well.